This Resolve Refresher workshop will now look at the skills you're using when you bring the two parties together for the restorative meeting. This comes after you've undertaken restorative inquiry with each party and grown this with each party. So with Blue, you asked enough in terms of the curiosity around their answer to the needs question to grow the gold. And you heard from Blue and then subsequently Green that they had some important questions needed answering, that they had some important statements to be heard, and that they consider life would be better if they could have this resolved as opposed to not. Your Resolve handbooks outline the flow of the two-party meeting, and this is what you practiced on the 3-day course. The two-party meeting is the opportunity for Blue and Green to talk directly about this event they share and their needs now as a result of the impact it has had upon each of them. And you've grown that realization in them by having undertaken restorative inquiry with each of them individually. In that event of undertaking restorative inquiry, you've grown the gold with them. They discovered they had questions which were important to them to have answered, statements important to be heard. They also nominated who needed to answer these questions and hear these statements, each time saying the name of the other. Blue has called Green, Green has called Blue. They're ready now to meet. They nominated each other as attending the meeting. Let's say you invite Green to arrive 10 minutes early. Have a quick refresher with Green. How are they feeling today? What do they expect to happen? What do they recall of their important questions and statements? This is an opportunity for them to warm up again ahead of the meeting. Have them settled in the room and await the arrival of the other. Blue arrives. Give them that warm-up opportunity too. How are they feeling about this meeting? What are their important questions and statements? What are they needing to see happen? You settle Blue in the room, and here you are. There are 4 points to cover in the opening of the meeting, and this sets the tone and ensures that there's no confusion about what's about to happen. So you, as your facilitator role prescribes, will describe that role. My job here is to caretake the process in your meeting, to ensure that your meeting runs as well as possible for you. Giving them some context. We're here today because I've had the opportunity to meet with each of you individually, and I know how important this meeting is to both of you. That way Blue and Green both know that you've met them ahead of time, and that there is now this opportunity as a result. You might also want to address some ground rules, and probably not call those by name as ground rules, but say to them, what I've found works well in the past with these meetings, and then give some ideas around really listening out and treating with respect and giving airtime. And also saying that in the event that people find it hard to wait their turn, you might use a talking piece to enable people to claim airtime. You might also think it's important to say that if matters of emotional potency are discussed which are upsetting, for them to alert you that they'd like to take a break. Because all this is possible, it's their meeting. But then hand it back to them and say, is this something that might work for them? So they agree to hold to these ideas of what will make for a good meeting. But right at the outset, it'll be important, won't it, for you to introduce them to each other. They may not have formally met. We don't know what sort of incident this is you're addressing. So right at the beginning, it'll be the welcome and the introductions. But now you're ready to begin. You will already have decided who you're going to start with. Having done that, turn to, say, green, and begin. You say to green, so green, tell us what happened. What were you thinking about when that was going on, and how did that feel? Had anything happened before? If we get a yes, you'll get a thinking and a feeling, won't you? And since. And then stop at, how are you left feeling now? Now you've heard these answers before, and so's green, but of course blue hasn't. And this is a real reality check for blue. Blue's hearing green's perspective on what happened. The feelings that green has experienced right through and continues to feel now. We never simply ask green what happened and then shoot across here and ask blue what happened, because of course that would set up the likelihood of an argument about the happenstance. We go straight down to, how are you left feeling now? And of course no one can deny the validity of the feelings that another has. You've got to there, you thank green, and then you switch across to blue. Same again. So blue, what happened for you? What were you thinking about at the time, and how did that feel? Had anything happened before or since? And how are you left feeling now? Once again, a richness of information for green upon hearing what this has been like for blue. You've already worked some magic, because here you are in your Resolve Facilitator role, having brought both parties to a declaration of the feelings they now carry as a result of what happened. The room is now resonating at this level here. They're beyond the preoccupation of the rights and wrongs of the happenstance to the feelings they're left with. You then come back to green and say to green, you said you were left feeling like this. What do you need? And this is where you're hoping that green will remember at least some of the needs they expressed to you in the restorative inquiry stage. They'll remember at least one or two questions or statements. So this is their chance to say, well, what I need is some answers to my questions. I need to know why she did it to me, or vice versa. We don't let them say all of it right now, but it's just a taster of the fact that, hey, they've got some needs. You acknowledge that, and straight back to blue. Blue, you said you were feeling like this. What do you need? Well, she needs to understand. Cut them each a little short here, because we don't want them telling you all of this stuff. This is you pretty much done now. Snap it shut and say something like, right, so you're both very clear about what you need. Please talk to each other about that need. So this is you formally handing the process over to them. You've held it fairly tight up until now, but this is theirs. Any talking between them earlier, like ahead of their declaration of the feelings they have now and the needs they have as a result, is way too early, and it's less likely to be effective. We want their dialogue to come after the declaration of impact and need. So here they are. You've now handed them the opportunity to talk directly with each other. You almost lean back out of it to allow them the space. It'll start a little hesitantly, perhaps. They may continue to look at you. If they do, just use your hand and invite them, because if they're saying, well, I need to know why, we'll just cut in and say, well, she's here. How about you ask her directly? So here they go, and they'll get up a little momentum quite quickly, start looking at each other and asking their questions, reacting to what they're hearing. And often the full list of what they grew in the restorative inquiry stage becomes a little obsolete, because they're hearing enough and it's becoming quite dynamic, and perhaps other things of curiosity are popping through for them now beyond their initial list. You'll still be listening very keenly to this dialogue. If you have a sense that, one party in particular can't remember a thing and is almost a little frozen, you can help with prompts and say to Green, didn't you have an important question? We're not going to spill the whole thing for them, we want them to say it. But you can prompt, but most commonly this will get up a little momentum and off they go. In you listening from your position, when you hear that, they pretty much have clarified what they were left uncertain about, what they needed to know, and they've accepted the statements from the other. And that this part of their work seems done. Then you can come back in and in a curious way ask, so where to from here? You've clarified what it is you were curious about, you've heard each other's statements. If they've made an agreement to, for instance, repay something or fix something or tell someone else something, whatever, you can test any tangible agreement they've formed by applying the SMART model. So just checking in with them about how specific this is, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely in terms of, well, when's this going to happen? But also it's often helpful to say, so how will things be between you tomorrow when you both get to work? Or what would it be like if you bumped into each other now on the high street? So it allows them to pitch themselves forward now into a future where this matter has been laid down. And that it's a brand new day tomorrow. And how will they be with each other? And if it's something which has had such potency that they're left a little nervous as to how it might be, you can also perhaps afford them a backup plan and say, if either of you feel that this agreement is getting a bit of a wobble to it, what might you do about that? So that they've got it safeguarded even more by having a bit of a backup plan. This is your role completed. They have addressed their key issues, they have told their perspectives and feelings to each other, and they have then declared what they needed of each other in order to see this matter resolved and move forward. In the event that either of them or both decided that they wanted to bring a support person with them, ahead of you bringing blue and green into the room, you will also have had a chance to meet with the support people. A support person is different from someone known to blue and green who has been significantly affected. Because, for instance, if a family member of Green's is very distressed, then they may well be part of the circle hub of the meeting proper and be seen as a key party who too will talk to their needs, their perceptions and their impact. They're part of the affected group. A support person is someone different. The support person is a friend or colleague who is here in silent support to offer confidence to this person for them to do their work. So the support person won't be part of the tight circle. They'll be sitting out to the side, but close, for instance, to Green. So here's a support person's arrived. How do we prime this support person as to their role in the room during this meeting? Often what works well is to say to this person, I understand you're coming in support of Green. What is it you're hoping Green will achieve at the meeting? Well, they'll often say, she's got to have her say and she needs to have this sorted out. And I can't bear to see her as upset as she's been. And I want for her to get this sorted. That's fine. You can then say, that's what we want to. That's what's on offer for Green. And it sounds like you're seeing the benefit in Green having a voice. So with this in mind, it will best serve Green to have a support person here in silent support. But at the end of the meeting, I will turn to you and invite your view on the agreement that these people have made. That's a respectful way of asking the supporter to please not speak, because it would be injurious to the process to have a support person arrive and for them to feel that they could take the floor as and when. One final consideration is the way you configure the room ahead of this joint meeting. Will you have furniture between them or not? Will you have the chairs in a triangle where eye contact is equally made across the triangle? Are you using the same room for the joint meeting that you used for the inquiry meetings? If so, did Blue claim a chair early? And will Blue be looking to sit on that chair when they come in for the joint meeting? These considerations afford you, as the Resolve facilitator, the opportunity to ensure that the meeting runs as well as possible and isn't derailed by issues around who gets to sit where and whether the table's in the way at the end of the meeting when in fact they approach in order to give each other a hug or shake hands. Thinking in terms of the dynamics of the room ahead of time will also help with the outcome of the meeting. But what's at the heart of your practice and the opportunities you afford to Blue and Green is your capacity to trust in the questions, to go through the inquiry stage, because the joint meeting is only ever as good as what you grew in the restorative inquiry stage. You sat with either Blue or Green, you asked them the initial questions down from what happened to what do you need, and then you grasped their answer to the needs question and you grew enough gold around their questions and their statements to mean that they claimed the right to talk to Green. They said to you, you know what, my life will be better if I get this sorted by getting my questions answered and my statements heard. And the person I need to have there is Green. So they have claimed the opportunity for this dialogue, and that's through the way you facilitated the restorative inquiry stage. Having done that, you then bring the parties together and they then reach for resolution together, with you caretaking the process around their meeting. Thank you.